Hey everybody, I'm Scott Wikle. You're listening to My Kind of Country. Thanks so much for joining us on a Monday night. I am very pleased to welcome this singer-songwriter to the show tonight, and she's got some fabulous things going on in her career, and we're going to talk to her about all that stuff tonight for you. It's my pleasure to welcome Minnie Murphy to My Kind of Country. Minnie, how are you tonight?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Scott.
Well, it's an honor to have you, and Happy New Year. I guess we can still say that, can't we?
Oh, yeah. Happy New Year.
Well, how are things in Nashville?
Things are great. We had a nice holiday and just been enjoying life, I mean, I can't complain.
You've got a little one here that you just had recently, right?
Yeah, I have a son, and he'll be turning 2. It's crazy. He's almost already 2 already. March 1st will be his 2nd birthday. His name is Phoenix Valentine.
Oh, what a cool name. That's awesome.
Thanks.
That is
Yeah,
so
he's
great.
awesome.
Time sure does fly. My daughter will turn 16 on February 1st, and I don't know where that time went either, so I hear you there.
Sweet 16, that's awesome. What's her name?
Her name is Merritt Louise.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, she actually does some hosting on my show with me. We host a little segment every week called Country Talk, and she's really taken a big interest in music, so I'm real proud of that.
That's great. Yeah, I'm trying to do the same with Phoenix. I have him on my upcoming record. Right when he first said Mama, I took him in the studio. I wrote a song about him and got him in there in between the first chorus and the second verse. Got him saying Mama and making some noises like little baby noises.
That is awesome.
So,
He will treasure he will treasure that in later years. He will hate that when he's a teenager, but when he gets older, he will treasure that. So that is a really cool thing.
yeah, it makes me cry when I hear it. It's my favorite part of the record.
Oh, that's great. I love that. Well, your folks were also very musical, and obviously they gave you a big boost into the music business. And give me a little bit of your background with your family and how you got into the wonderful world of country music.
Yeah, so both my parents are musicians and songwriters and singers. My mom is a classical pianist, and she's a great songwriter, and she also does, like, paintings and what she calls junk art, which is, like, anything that, like, nothing is trash to her. She'll make a sculpture out of, broken faucet and crazy pieces of wood that look like a torso, and I don't know, she's amazing, creative.
Oh, I love that kind of
and
stuff.
then my dad is as well a great songwriter, great singer, guitar player, and my dad and his sister, he grew up in New Zealand, and they were pop stars over there, and then he moved to Australia and had 2 daughters with his first wife, and they did a family band with, like, matching bell bottoms, and it was kind of disco type music, and then he met my mom, and they had me and my twin brother and my sister Melissa, and we grew up in the Northwest, and they made their living playing the local bars and taverns, and so I kind of grew up surrounded by that whole lifestyle of late nights and just writing and playing music, and I love it. I'm really grateful that my mom made us all take piano lessons when we were like 10 years old, and I just got addicted to it. As soon as I learned enough theory, it was like I'd wake up in the mornings and I'd want to go play the piano before I did anything else,
Oh, yeah.
So,
It's definitely in your blood, that's for sure. And I do want to mention too that your sister, who was from New Zealand, is Jamie O'Neill, and she's had quite a career in country music as well.
yeah, and she was born in Australia, actually, when my dad moved from New Zealand to Australia. And, yeah, he had 2 daughters, Samantha and Jamie, and they were on the road opening up for Dolly and Elvis and just all over the place. So, yeah, it was always amazing to have them come visit for Christmas and hear her sing and just watch her put her makeup on and everything, you know. So,
That's really great. So when did you make the move to Nashville?
I moved right after high school. Well, during high school, I started writing probably when I was like 15 and making trips to Nashville, writing with people, and then we raised up about $25,000 to record 5 songs, like top scale players, you know, from Nashville, and just, you know, it was a labor of love, and just picking the best songs that we wrote, and so that's how I got my first record deal with Sony when I was a senior in high school, and they heard my 5-song demo, and one of the A&R guys flew out to our house in Bellingham, and I sang for him, and then I flew to Nashville and sang for the president of Sony, and
Wow.
And he liked me, thankfully, and so we got that deal. It took a while to get all the paperwork and everything, but we all packed up and moved to Nashville when I was 19, and it was a pretty exciting time, but shortly after we got here, Sony merged with RCA, and I never got to release my music and lost my deal, and it was my first taste of, like, you know,
Oh, man.
here we go, kind of, because the record deal is really just the beginning, you know, and it's so much work, you know, and but
That happens so
I
much,
kind of
yeah.
went to waiting tables and, you know, playing gigs and paying my dues.
Yeah, that happens a lot, that's for sure. Well, I know that there's a strong songwriters community down there, and I'm sure you were able to get in with them. Obviously, you've written some great songs, including your new single, Get Over It. You co-wrote that, and it's a fantastic song. Tell me a little bit about how this song came about for you.
Yeah, so I've been writing for this publishing company for probably like 6 or 7 years now, and I think after like the Sony deal didn't work out, and then I had another deal that didn't work out, I was just thinking, I went back to waiting tables, and I just had this day where I was like, you know what, I'm not going to give up. I'm a writer. I'm going to go get a publishing deal again, but this time I'm just going to try to just focus on writing and not be an artist. So thankfully he took me on, and I guess like after having my son, I just kind of became motivated to put music out again. I think a lot of people think that, you know, when you have kids, you got to give up on your dreams, and it is all about them. But I think for me, it's also about setting that example to never give up. And so I always wanted to make an album of classic country, and we had this song. It was an assignment, right? Like sometimes my publisher will have song titles that he'll tell us to write, and this was a title that his partner had, and so he called and said, "You need to write this idea, Get Over It." And so I got with Traft and Harvey, and we tossed around some different angles and kind of resorted to the drinking song, which is what we usually do if we get stuck. Well, let's make it a drinking song. So it just felt right to kind of go into the retro country direction, and I just fell in love with the track that John Conley made, and it just made me want to make a whole album. Once we got this song done, I just found myself listening to it every day in the morning. I just love that vibe of like that throwback 90s, almost 80s. Just that, you know, it's definitely country, and you know, it feels like an old friend and reminds me of my childhood. And so, yeah, I think that's when I thought, you know what, we should build on this and put some music out, you know?
Well,
Why not?
That's great. You know, it's really the pendulum has really swung back to more of the traditional sounds, and that, you know, the real country music from what you're talking about has longevity, it has meaning, and it's going to be around. And I think, I'm sure as a songwriter that's probably something that you can draw from and create some fabulous music to carry on that tradition.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it never goes out of style, you know?
Yeah.
If it's really country, then it's always cool, you know? And the publishing company I write for, my publisher, I mean, it's kind of like a time warp when you walk in the building. They have Billboard charts from like back in the 80s, and when the song titles had parentheses in the title, like "You Stole My Heart," but I got the key, or I don't know, you know, like these weird song titles, like from the way that music was back then, and
Yeah.
and so he had a whole catalog of songs. He wrote a Randy Travis hit, and I don't know. It's just I've always had a soft spot for the steel guitar, and you know, the honesty of. I mean, I love what people are doing now too. I really love all kinds of music, and but I've always wanted to kind of go to that lonesome place of like the George Jones kind of,
Yeah.
you know, vibe of.
That's a good place to be. You're talking my language. That's exactly what we're all about here on my show. No doubt about it. Folks, I want to mention Minnie's website is minniemurphymusic.com. We will have that information on our Facebook page for My Kind of Country. And we're going to play the new single, Get Over It. And Minnie, you had mentioned to me before we got on the air that you're working on a full album. Can you give me a little bit of a preview of that without letting too much of the cat out of the bag there?
Yeah, so it's 7 songs, so it's kind of an LP or EP. I guess they're telling me to call it an LP. But, and it's a lot of that nostalgic vibe, but there's also a variety of, you know, there's the songs about how I grew up from the musical family and stuff, and then there's a song about my son, and then like kind of a Texas country song, and but it's kind of mid-tempo. It's sort of a winter album, and we'll be coming out with that probably February or March, depending on how everything goes, but it'll be soon. I'm really excited to get all this music out there, and there's yodeling in there, and
Nice.
lots of steel guitar, and songs about love and second chances, and you know, it's kind of my version of that nostalgic kind of retro country.
Awesome. Well, I hope that when you get it all done and ready to come out, that you'll come back on the show. I'd love to play some more of those songs for our listeners.
Oh, I'd love to. Thank you. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Well, you're on the right track. That sounds fantastic. Looking forward to that. And we're going to play your single, Get Over It, right now for our listeners. And again, folks, it's minniemurphymusic.com. And boy, that just kind of rolls right off the tongue. Minnie Murphy Music. I like that.
Thanks.
Well, thank you so much for taking time to be on My Kind of Country, and I wish you all the best with you and your family, and we're certainly looking forward to hearing more from you.
Thank you for having me, Scott. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. My honor. Here is Minnie Murphy, Get Over It, as we continue with My Kind of Country right here on Fish Creek Radio.
There's some Chardonnay sitting up on the shelf, and just like me, it's gone.